Hello, my name is Alina Old, and today I will be talking about adoption versus buying a pet from a breeder. When wanting a pet, people should adopt them from a shelter rather than buying them from a breeder or a pet store. People should adopt because shelters are usually overfilled with animals, and animal breeders they're known for mistreating their animals. Shelter animals are also usually cheaper. There are many ways in which someone can obtain an animal. They can get them through adoption, from a breeder, or from a pet store, which they get their supplies from the breeders, or they could be given by a friend or family member who no longer can take care of them for whatever reason. Now, you might be wondering, why adopt a pet? Well, animals that are from a shelter are usually mixed breeds, therefore they're usually healthier and live longer than purebred dogs that are known for having many health problems. They're also usually cheaper. Buying a pet, you can spend usually between $500 to $1,000 or more, depending on the breed. When adopting a pet, the cost is usually somewhere between $50 to $200. And their vet bills are usually a lot cheaper because they are, again, the mixed breeds that are healthier than the purebreds. And you should adopt them because shelter conditions are usually terrible at a lot of places. They're terrible because some will kill animals that can't get adopted or are too old or sick to make room for other animals that may need help or are more desirable for people to want to adopt. However, the ones that will not kill the animals, they just run out of room and have to turn away animals that may need more help. Which then those animals, there are many cases where people had then killed said animals because they couldn't get rid of them. Adopting a pet, you can then make room in that animal shelter for other animals without any animal having to die. Also, animals that are in shelters are usually held in cages, which can traumatize them and make them depressed. Another reason you should adopt animals is because the volunteers or other people who work at the shelters are usually very knowledgeable about said animals and can help find an animal that fits best with you and your lifestyle. Also, adopting helps stay away from terrible breeders, which are known to treat their animals in different ways because of how the breeding of the animal works for their profit. You can also help encourage others when you adopt animals because they'll see you did it and they might believe that in order to fit in they must as well. Plus, it makes them a little more knowledgeable about how bad the breeders are in their mistreatment of animals. Also, if you adopt an animal, you can select them. You can see their personality. You can pick their ages, because a puppy can be a lot to handle for someone who's never had experiences with a dog before. than an older dog could be. Older, more docile dog could be. Now, counter-argument about why you should, in fact, buy a breeder animal. Pet stores get their animals from the breeders, so they are also classified in this. You never know what kind of animal you will get from the shelter. It may look nice and friendly, but by the time you get it home and introduce it to your children or other animals, you might see a different side to it. And despite popular belief, they're not the only cause of overpopulation of pets. A lot of the pets that are running around homeless on the streets are because of people not spaying or neutering their animals, or wanting to be a breeder themselves and being misguided. And an upside is if you want a purebred dog, you can easily get it from a breeder, which will then you'll be able to get its pedigree. And breeders try to make their animals as healthy as possible, most do. So, despite being purebred, they're as healthy as they can be. And you'll also receive information such as all the shots it's need or any health problems that it may have that you may have to work around. And some similarities that I found for both adopting and buying an animal is, again, you won't know what kind of animal you get or how it will behave until it's in your home environment. And no matter where you buy the animal, it'll be able to love you and receive love the same, theoretically. And you don't always know what kind of animal you'll have, whether they'll be healthy or sick, happy or depressed, or just an angry ball of hate. Alright, so in conclusion, while it may be impossible to know for certain if an animal is being properly cared for by a shelter or their breeder, many breeders are known to do evil things to their animals, such as breeding them to near death and exhaustion. While it is ultimately up to the person themselves whether they want to adopt or buy their pet, I believe that adoption is a more safe and sure way of knowing for certain you get the perfect animal companion to match yourself. Not only will the animal be saved from horrors that it might encounter on the streets or in shelters, but it is also now in a loving home. Adopting is also a pretty great way to peacefully fight against the horrors that is animal breeding. Alright.